Today's video is all about my favorite lip products of 2022. So if you'd like to see what those are, just keep on watching. Before we get into it, if you're new here, welcome. If you like this video and you like my content and you haven't subscribed already, I would love for you to consider doing so. I like to focus mostly on high-end, luxury, and indie makeup, and I like to do a combination of reviewing and demoing new products, as well as dipping into my collection and playing with some of my older makeup. So if all of that sounds good to you, I would love for you to subscribe. So now let's get into my top lip products of the year. I have a few lipsticks to talk about, a couple of glosses, balms, and a lip liner as well. The first lipstick I want to talk about is actually a Pat McGrath lipstick that came out as part of her second Bridgerton collaboration. This is in the SatinAllure formula, and the shade I have is Negligee. The packaging is very cute. I love the pink color with the gold bow, but I especially love what's inside. I was swatching eyeshadows earlier and some of them stained, so if you see any marks on my hand, that's what that is. But here is the shade Negligee. It's just this beautiful kind of warm leaning pink with a little bit of peachiness. It's not too light, it's not too dark. It's a really easy shade for me to wear with my skin tone. It brings a little bit of brightness and life to the face, but it's not overly bright. And the formula of these SatinAllure lipsticks is very lovely. It feels more like a traditional creme formula lipstick, so it has a little bit of thickness to it, but it doesn't feel heavy on the lips. It has a creamy quality, and it feels actually quite moisturizing on the lips as well. It has the ability to kind of smooth out the lips a little bit, and it's not matte, but it's also not too shiny. This is definitely one of the best lipsticks I've tried this year. Another one I wanted to talk about is from Natasha Denona. This is her My Dream lipstick, and it's in the shade Natasha. First of all, I can't not mention the packaging on this. This is quite weighted. It has this kind of soft matte feel to it. This packaging matches the rest of the product that came out with the My Dream collection. It has this very pale kind of beigey coral color with the black splatters on it. And this shade has become my go-to cool leaning nude lipstick if I want a more satiny finish and formula. So you can see it there. I think it's actually quite similar in how it feels in formula to the Pat McGrath one I just talked about. It has a creaminess, quite saturated. It feels very comfortable on the lips, and it's just such an excellent color. Another totally winning lipstick formula that I tried this year were the Merit Lightweight Signature lipsticks. As soon as I tried these, they immediately became one of my favorite lipstick formulas ever. They're a little bit more matte looking on the lips, I find, than these more traditional kind of creme formulas, but they're not fully matte. They're just a little bit less shiny than these creme lipsticks. They're also more sheer, so that allows you to build them more gradually, which is great. And my favorite shades that I've tried so far from this line are Slip and Baby, so those are the ones I wanted to focus on today. So you can see how the swatch is building more gradually here. You can get a really nice sheer finish. I apologize for the noise in the background. There are a lot of people in my house over the holidays, so we're just going to work through it. So that's the shade Slip there. It's a little bit more of a warm nude. And then if I want a little bit of a cooler option, I go for Baby, which is my other favorite shade. And there's Baby, and you can see it's a lot more pink, and it almost has a kind of bluish undertone. It pulls more like a mauvey pink, which is great to have because I don't have a lot of shades like this. And most of the time, if I try to wear a lipstick shade that looks like this, it just looks a little bit too pink, a little bit too cool on me, but it's just so well balanced, and I think something about the formula and the sheerness and buildability of it also just makes it really work where other colors that might seem similar don't work as well for me. I'm actually wearing this lipstick today. I've paired it with the Eldridge Fawn lip liner. And these are very well named because they really do feel so lightweight on the lips. They feel a little bit moisturizing. Mostly they just feel like you don't have anything on your lips at all. Very very comfortable. And if you were interested in shopping for these or any other products from Merit, I just wanted to remind you that I have a link with Merit, so I'm going to leave that in the description box below. This video isn't sponsored or anything, and I bought these lipsticks with my own money. Now, of course, I have a few Lisa Eldridge lipsticks that I wanted to talk about, but before I get into those, I have one other that's not Lisa Eldridge, and this is from Rose Inc. And this is their Satin Refillable Hydrating Lipstick. This is another formula that really caught my attention this year. Just like with the Merit lipsticks and all the other lipsticks I've shown you so far, the colors in this range are excellent. They're just beautifully balanced, kind of complex, nuanced colors. And my favorite of the Rose Inc ones is the shade Besotted. So that's the one I wanted to show you today. This is more of a creme formula, so kind of more similar to the first couple of lipsticks that I showed you, but there is something a little bit different. It feels perhaps a little bit grippier than those other two, but still very, very comfortable on the lips. Feels moisturizing on the lips, but not too heavy. And this shade Besotted, I think, is just another one. Obviously, I have a type here with my lip products. It's this nude kind of shade, but it's not too light, so it keeps it very wearable. Beautiful nuance in its undertones, and the formula wears really nicely as well. And I like that the Rose Inc ones are refillable, because lipsticks are the types of products that if they're your go-to colors, you can actually go through fairly quickly if you're using them regularly. So it's really nice to have the refill option with these Rose Inc lipsticks. Now I have 4 Lisa Eldridge lipsticks I wanted to focus on. The first is Le Mepris, which is the lightest shade, I think, in all of Lisa Eldridge's lipsticks, and definitely the lightest shade in her Luxuriously Lucent formula. So this came out as part of her summer collection. I'm really happy to finally have a quite light nude from Lisa Eldridge. A lot of her nudes are kind of more mid-tone. They look a little bit deeper, but this one is a true light nude. Even I need a lip liner with this one, but I just love this shade. It's a bit of a more warm tone. You can kind of see the peachiness in there, but there's a little bit of pink as well. And I think this is just the perfect lipstick to go with a very dramatic eye look. That's my favorite way to wear it, is with a quite smoky eye and a little bit of a deeper lip liner just to define the edges of the lips. And the Luxuriously Lucent formula is definitely one of my favorite lipstick formulas. It's my favorite of Lisa's formulas because it's just so easy to wear. It's very moisturizing on the lips, really easy to apply. You can apply most of these shades without a mirror and not have to worry. It's also sheer and buildable, so you can customize the way these lipsticks look. The next one I wanted to talk about is Meet Me in Berlin, which also came out as part of the summer collection. It's this beautiful brown shade, but again, it's in the Lucent formula, so we have the ability to apply it more sheerly or build it up. It's beautiful balanced brown. You can even see a little bit of purple undertone in there, but it's not overly cool toned, and it's still kind of like a nude, but it's just a little bit different because it really does pull more as a brown, but not too intimidating of a brown. And the last one from her summer collection I wanted to mention is Je ne sais quoi. This is one I haven't worn a lot recently as the weather's gotten cooler and we've transitioned into fall and winter. But in the summer, this was probably my most worn lipstick, actually. It's beautiful corally red type shade, but it's a little bit muted, which makes it a little bit more wearable, but it definitely still has a brightness that you often like to see with a bright, fun summer lipstick. So that was my other favorite from Lisa's summer collection. And I just wanted to mention one last Lisa Eldridge lipstick, and this is Velvet Sorcery from her recent holiday collection. I'm gonna swatch this on this hand here. So this is the Velvet formula, so it is a matte. And although all of the shades in her holiday collection were beautiful, and there are a couple others that stand out, I really wanted to focus on Velvet Sorcery because this has just been such a go-to already. I've only had it for a short while, but it's a really versatile color. I like to think of it as a milk chocolate mixed with a mauve. So it can work really well with cool toned or warm toned looks, and that's one of the qualities that I think makes this shade so special. And with the velvets, you can also adjust how they look on the lips. You can kind of blur and blend them out so they're a little bit more sheer and give you that blotted look effect, or you can build them up to their full pigmentation and they're going to be very opaque and give this beautiful velvety matte texture to the lips. And since we're talking about Velvet Sorcery, let's now talk about my favorite lip liner of the year, which is the Sorcery lip liner from Eldridge. So this matches the Velvet Sorcery lipstick, and it has been another go-to for me ever since I've gotten it. I've typically used the Fawn lip liner. That is my everyday go-to lip liner, and I find it really just goes with any lipstick regardless of the color. Velvet Sorcery is perhaps not quite as multi-purpose as Fawn for me. It's a little bit deeper, but that also makes it quite useful. So I find it pairs really nicely with very light nudes, but it also works well with darker colors. Again, just like the Velvet Sorcery lipstick, it has this balance of warm and cool. So it has the ability to add a little bit of contouring and shading like a cool tone would, but it also has that warmth that can kind of warm up and balance out a lip color as well. Lastly, into glosses and balms, I'm going to start out with the Victoria Beckham Posh gloss, specifically in the shade Bikini. I love the ice shade as well, which is just a completely clear gloss. That is such a go-to. I think I'm on my third tube of that already. But she brought out tinted shades of her gloss this year, and they're phenomenal as well. The shade Bikini is the one I want to focus on today. I also love the shade Tan Line, and I've more recently gotten the shade Poolside. Those were all part of her first collection of tinted glosses. They're a little bit more muted tones, a little bit more earthy, and those are definitely my favorites. Later on in the year, she brought out more kind of spring summer type colors with a little bit more brightness to them. And I enjoyed the two that I got from that as well, but they're definitely not go-tos like these more muted earthy colors, and especially not like Bikini. So Bikini is a very pale nude shade. It has this beautiful pinkiness to it. It leans a little bit in the cool tone direction, but not too far. So it's still really wearable. It's surprisingly flattering for being such a light, pale nude. These are quite pigmented, which I think is one of the benefits of these glosses. Of course, there's a sheerness to them, as there is with any gloss, but there is enough pigment in them to really have an impact on the lips, but without going too far. And the formula is my favorite gloss formula of all time. So to have that in this beautiful color, which is really unique in my collection, is just fantastic. The next product I wanted to mention is called a lip oil, but I think of it more as a gloss or a balm. It's the Dior lip oil. I have mine in the shade Pink, which I think is the original shade. I just love this. It has a very similar feel actually to the Victoria Beckham glosses. So it's not sticky. It has a nice richness and thickness to it. So it does feel a little bit more weighty on the lips, but in a way that I like. It feels very nourishing. It lasts very well for the type of product that it is, just like the Victoria Beckham does as well. And there's just this slight hint of pink in this shade that I think is really flattering on the lips. So it's almost like just wearing a clear gloss or balm, but it has this very slight pinkness to it, which just brings the tiniest little touch of color and extra life to the lips. The Victoria Beckham ones are unscented. The Dior have a vanilla mint scent to them. The last balm I wanted to talk about is from Auric. It's their Plush Ritual Ceramide Lip Balm. I actually don't have my favorite one here because I went through it. My favorite is the original, the shade Bear, which is a very light nude shade, actually kind of similar to Bikini from Victoria Beckham. They did bring out 2 tinted shades for the holidays, and I do have both of them. I'm going to link my video where I demoed and reviewed these below, but I do prefer the original. I find these 2 tinted shades actually look really nice paired together, but each one on its own is just a little bit too strong in its tone. I prefer Haze, which is the cooler toned one, if I'm going to wear one of them on their own, but it has to be with the right look. It needs to go with a more cool toned look. The shade Ripe I find just a little bit too bright for my liking, but these 2 colors actually balance each other out really nicely. So my favorite way to wear them is actually mixed together, but that's a bit more complicated than I would like it to be. So I prefer just the original Bear shade, and really the main point about this balm is just the formula. It does feel very plush. It's incredibly nourishing on the lips. It's very expensive though, so I don't even know if I will repurchase the original shade, but I definitely wanted to include it in this video because it was a standout product of the year. I went through it very quickly, so I really did enjoy the product and wanted to make sure to include it as one of my favorites of the year. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below. I always love to see those. And if you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd love for you to do so. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.